Hello and welcome to the first edition of the Fore-All Golf Podcast. I'm Jesse Morrison alongside Max Bechtoldt. And Max, we have some big breaking news this morning. The Solheim Cup is going to be at Valhalla Golf Club in Louisville, Kentucky in 2028. It's hosted 4 men's major championships, including the 2024 PGA Championship and a Ryder Cup. Just what are your thoughts about this venue for the Solheim Cup?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Hopefully, security is a little bit better at the next event here held at Valhalla. But yeah, no, I'm very excited. Valhalla got a lot of criticism this year around the PGA Championship because of the low scores, because it really wasn't kind of taken seriously as a major championship venue. But you look at some of the people that have won there, Rory McIlroy, Xander Schauffele, Tiger Woods. Like, there's a lot of history for it just being like built in 1986. Jack Nicklaus design. I've actually played it probably about 5 years ago. Gorgeous golf course. It's really set up for big crowds, so you hope that like the trajectory keeps going up and we can see some Ryder Cup level crowds there. And I think while it maybe isn't best suited to major championship play because of the scores it allows, I do think it's very much set up for Solheim Cup or Ryder Cup kind of style. There's a lot of opportunities, I think, to make the course a little bit shorter, to get some eagles and birdies flowing. I think it should just be a really electric atmosphere for them to play at, and I can't wait to see it in 2028. It feels like long to wait, but yeah, I think it'll be a great venue.
Be right around the corner. I mean, I felt like the Olympics were just yesterday, and they were shorter. It was a shorter wait this time, but you had it where it was right here, and it's like, wait, I felt like we just had Olympics. But which players do you think this venue really suits? Who do you think will be some players that excel in this tournament when it's held here?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough to really like forecast too much because who knows who's going to be on these two teams in 4 years. But I do think like you can bet on seeing. I think still Nelly Korda will be making these teams, and big wide open golf course. I could see her kind of excelling. I also think the putters, like you see Xander Schauffele really dominated in putting this week or the week that he won, and I think that putting is so important in these team events anyway. So like I'm looking at somebody like Rose Zhang, who I think is one of the best putters in the world, Lydia Vu, who's one of the best putters in the world. I think those are the kind of players that you can really see playing well there because it's been proven that Tiger has a great short game as well, especially in his prime. So you've seen those kind of players win there. Obviously, Rory is kind of the outlier on that, but I those are kind of the players. Celine Boudier is another one who is just a phenomenal, all around player and putter. She'll be a little bit older at that time. She'll be, I think, 34, 35. So again, it's a little hard to forecast too much, but I think it should be just a great venue for both the European and the American players to play at.
And you mentioned putting, and I mentioned the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Somebody that putted extremely well this past weekend, or it was kind of a weird
Yeah.
format with the women's golf at the Olympics. It was Wednesday through Saturday. The men's was the usual Thursday through Sunday, and then the women's was Wednesday through Saturday. But you saw some great putting from Lydia Ko, who ended up winning gold at the Olympics, and that led to her making the Women's Golf Hall of Fame. Max, just overall thoughts on the Olympic golf tournament. What did you like about it? What did you not like about it? And, Lydia Ko winning it all.
Yeah, I thought first of all it was a fantastic week, and congratulations to Lydia Ko, an unquestioned legend of women's golf, and now has all 3 medals, has a bronze, a silver, and a gold. That's probably certainly in the women's game. I don't think that can be matched with how quickly players kind of cycle in and through. But I don't think that can be matched in all of golf for a very, very long time. She's the only player to win multiple medals, and she has 3. So Yeah, I loved the course, first of all. I think Le Golf National was fantastic venue. It got players really pressing. I think the kind of combination of the pressure of the Olympics combined with a course that's really, really dangerous was a lot of fun. All of the water holes on the back nine, I think there was like 6 holes where water majorly came into play, and it felt like every player was making bad mistakes, other than Lydia Ko, who made just one bad mistake, but that was enough to really carry her. I think, you look at this week, I think we had a leaderboard that had a lot of big stars at the top, but I think, the medal stand was really meaningful to all 3 players that won. You kind of struggle with how would a star player deal with winning a bronze? Like, would that mean a ton to them? But instead, you got Lydia winning the gold. You got Esther Henseleit, who has had a really, really good season this year, 3 top 15 finishes in majors, but hasn't yet won. This is a big breakout moment for her. And then Ji Lin, who, is probably the best player on the LPGA tour without a career win, getting a bronze medal, getting a big moment up there. So yeah, I thought the week was great. Lydia performed phenomenally. Was 15th in strokes gained off the tee, which I think is going really underreported because her short game's so magnificent. She ranks 121st on tour in strokes gained driving this year. So to go up to 15 when you're looking for a reason of why did Lydia dominate so much this week, it's because she had no weaknesses this year at the Olympics. None. And so yeah, that was a great week.
And to me, it just seemed like she was locked in. Like she had like a, was kind of had like the face of like being in the zone, if that makes sense to you. When I was watching, and just some of the shots that she hit were just unbelievable. Just exactly what you want to do in those situations, right next to the hole, and then made the putting
Mhm.
so easy, I guess.
Yeah.
Putting's never easy, but when
And I
when
think,
you hit
yeah,
it right next to the hole, it's not that hard.
exactly. I think she deserves a lot of credit because, the men's Olympic golf, this year, John Rahm was on the back nine with a 4 stroke lead in the final round, looked poised to run away with it, was in a rhythm. Nobody looked like they could catch him. And he blew it all away within like 2 holes. And so Lydia sitting there on, the 11th hole with a 5 stroke lead, you're starting to think like, okay, Lydia has had some pretty high profile collapses in the past. So you're starting to think, but she really never gave you a reason to believe. Even on hole 13, where she hit in the water and made double bogey, you still felt so confident because the driving was working so well. I'm going to say this. I almost picked her coming into the week, but I was so turned off by the men's tournament because if you didn't drive it in the fairway, you were really, really in trouble. And I was like, okay, like I want to believe Lydia will win this because she's so good at playing in the Olympics. But there's that issue of she can't really find the fairway a lot of times. And she did that this week. Only hit 36 out of 56 fairways, but for her standards, those are pretty good. And even when she was missing, she wasn't missing by a lot.
So 28 total professional wins for her, 20 on the LPGA tour, 2 majors. Now she's got the gold medal.
Mm.
She's going to be in the Hall of Fame now. Just what do you think her legacy is at this point? Which is crazy to talk about someone's legacy who's only 27 years old, but it's kind of the name of the game in the LPGA.
It is. I mean, well, she was the youngest player to ever win on the LPGA tour. And, she won as an amateur on the LPGA tour. Like, she like has always kind of been ahead of the curve, and she had some really high profile struggles in 2018 and 2019. Kind of went on, for her standards, a really long streak of not winning, and a lot of people kind of thought she was done at that time, which is again crazy because she was like 23 years old. But you look at the 20 wins, 2 majors, 3 medals in the Olympics, 2 LPGA Player of the Year awards. She won the Rookie of the Year, obviously, in her first season. Like, it's tough to say also because this is the hardest era ever to win on the LPGA tour. You've got so many countries who have like in her time, come out and really broken out on this tour. It used to be a tour that was very heavily American. And in her time, we've seen the big rise of players from Thailand. We've seen the big rise of players from Australia. We're seeing now the big rise of players from Japan, and she's kind of weathered that storm and been less dominant as time has gone on. But it's also important to remember she just won Player of the Year 2 years ago, so she's still just this player who's getting wins. And this is her second overall win this year. She won the first event of the season, and then she came in second the next one. So she's talked about how retirement might be coming soon, how she really wants to start a family. She just got married last year, so it's she's talked about how she kind of wants to retire by the age of 30. I'm not sure if that's going to necessarily hold up, but even if she does retire, she's going to go down as one of the all-time greats. One of the most high-profile players. Brooke Henderson and Lexi Thompson and Nelly Korda get a lot of the credit for growing the LPGA on a mainstream golf level, but Lydia Ko was out there first, and she was doing it at a level that hadn't been seen from anybody her age in the sport, man or woman. So,
And and my next question is, if she does indeed retire at 30, that'll be 2027 will be her last year. Do you think she can, it's been 8 years, believe it or not, since she won her last major. Think she can win another major again?
I do. I think this win actually came at a really nice time because she can kind of take this week to let it all settle in. She's playing in the Scottish Open, but there's not necessarily that kind of pressure. I'm looking at St. Andrews, where so many of the greats have won opens. Tigers won opens there. Jack's has won opens there. I'm starting to look at Lydia Ko. I think she suits the course pretty well with her putting skills. I think a good putter will win at St. Andrews. So I'm starting to look at that. It'll be interesting. It's so hard to win a major on the LPGA tour right now. You look at how few of players have won multiple majors over the last like 15 years. The list is really, really short. It's the Minjee Lees, it's the Nelly Kordas, it's the Brooke Hendersons, it's the elite of the elite players. So I do think she can get another major. I think especially if she plays another 3 seasons, that's about 15 or 16 more chances. So I do think that the clock's not running out yet, but going 8 years without one is a little cause for concern.
And you mentioned the water being a huge factor at this Olympic event, and it kind of ended up sinking, no pun intended,
Yeah.
Nelly Korda's chance at medaling, the defending gold medalist, best player in the world. The list goes on. Probably the most prominent LPGA golfer at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just what do you think went wrong for her, and then the other Americans in the field?
So I think, as odd as it sounds, I'm very encouraged by Nelly Korda this week because it wasn't playing bad consistently. It was making bad mistakes. And I think that's fixable. Um, you know, not every course you're playing has 6 holes basically at the end with water on them. And it was in her head a little bit. I mean, she was hitting shots that you would never see her hit. But I think when she was getting in a rhythm, she looked like that player from early in the season. And I think some of her other performances since her, winning 6 out of 7 tournaments have just kind of been a lot of errors in a row. But I was a little bit encouraged this week because yes, she made that horrific quadruple bogey on 16. Yes, she hit in the water on 15 late on Saturday. But I think there's a lot to be encouraged by. I think she hit the ball really well. Her putter started to get hot as the week went on. So I'm encouraged by her. Rose Zhang, I do think pressure can be, very much accounted to what happened there. She was playing in a very slow group that had, a rules official with them the whole time timing them, which would have resulted possibly in a penalty. And I think that may have gotten in her head a little bit. That's just speculation, obviously. She was hitting some uncharacteristic shots. she hasn't always been, the best in kind of these big moments at times, when you look at her Solheim Cup performance, and now this. But I'm still encouraged by it. I don't think it'll be her last Olympics. I think she's very likely to be playing in her hometown in LA. And I think that there's a lot of good to take from this week. I think playing on another big stage, she is a player that, not to get too ahead of ourselves, but I think her game suits St. Andrews perfectly. Like, I don't think there is a player who that course suits better than Rose Zhang. At St. Andrews, you want to place the ball in the right position, get it on the green. They're the biggest greens in the world, so you're going to have a lot of long putts, and she's better at long putts than anybody else on tour. So, there's a lot of encouragement there. And Lilia Vu, she just hasn't played a ton this year. And I think, it's just kind of reps that she needs a little bit more. She had that back injury that I still think is, impacting her a little more than she's letting on. And so I think that's the issue. That's why you saw her play well, early in the week, the first two rounds. And then I think kind of, start to go downhill. I think fatigue was part of it. So, yeah, that's kind of my thoughts on the American team. I still thought they did very well. You go into the last two rounds with three players still in medal contention, that's not something that other countries were doing. So,
Yeah.
I don't think it was a bad performance for any of them.
All right. Well, Scottish Open this week.
Yeah.
Celine Boutier won last year.
Mm-hmm.
How, what are you excited for with this tournament this year? And who will you be watching in this one?
Well, the Scottish Open and the Open, are unabashedly my favorite events of the year. I love Scottish golf. I love links golf, and so I'm really excited to watch this. Yeah,
we agree on that. We agree on this one, like 100%. I think that any golf played in Scotland is the best golf.
Yeah, I hope we get the weather this week, because I'd love to watch some diabolical Scottish weather, but I don't really want it to like impact the major championship as much. So I hope we get a lot of that this week. But yeah, I mean, I'm looking at this week. I'm thinking Celine Boutier has got to be the favorite. She won last year on this course. She came in second the year before on this course, so she clearly plays it well. I'm also looking at Esther Henselite. A lot of momentum. It would be a great story for her to grab a win. The LPGA is so much a momentum sport. When you see somebody play well one week, they usually play well the next week. And off that, I'm also looking at Allie Ewing, who really hasn't played a bad round of golf in about 4 months. She's 5 or 6 strokes away from having her own Nelly Korda moment. I think she had like 5 top 10 finishes in a row. And so I'm looking at her. She's played well in the past on links courses. She was in control last year at the Open until a few bad mistakes, and she's played well in this event in the past. She has a couple top 10s. And then Moria Jutanagarn also, who has played decent in Scotland and Great Britain in general, and just won her third career event 2 weeks ago. Got a little break, got over there. I know she's been there for a week practicing, so I think that as a solid sleeper, she has a chance.
All right, Max. Well, it'll be an exciting tournament to watch.
Get up bright and early, 4 a.m. On Sunday. It comes on TV, so on the West Coast, that is. But yeah, bright and early.
And I'm sure you'll have plenty of content up on Fore-All.com. That's FORE -all.com. What do you have up there right now that people need to be reading and looking at?
Well, just like any other, person who covers Olympics, you got to be looking at who's going to be competing in 2028, don't you? I think that was called out by Angel Reese, and I kind of felt a little attacked because I did that for golf the day before. But I have that up. I got, kind of some out of the box names, some players that may not be professional yet that I think might be on the United States team in LA. And then, starting today, we're going to have a whole series on St. Andrews, the old course, getting everybody prepped for the AIG Women's Open, which is taking place next week. So keep an eye out for that as well. All
right. Make sure you go and check all that content out. Max is doing a great job with all of it. It's the most in-depth coverage you'll get on the LPGA tour out there. So you got to make sure that you're checking that out. And we will be back with another episode next week. We'll be talking about the Scottish Open and see if the players that Max said to watch ended up being the ones to watch at the end of the day. For Max Bechtoldt, I'm Jesse Morrison. This has been the Fore-All Podcast.